Ever read a book that felt like a random jumble of events? Like the author was just throwing darts at a plot board? Where characters' actions made no sense and twists came out of nowhere? Odds are, that story was missing a little something called cause and effect. Because in a well-crafted tale, plot points don't just happen willy-nilly. They flow logically from each other in a tidy chain of dominoes. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. How cause and effect works in stories, why it's the secret sauce for a satisfying plot, and how you can use it to make your own writing tight, believable, and oh, so compelling. By the end of this video, you'll be a cause and effect aficionado, ready to craft tales that make perfect sense, in the best way. Let's get into it. All right, so first off, what do we actually mean by cause and effect in storytelling? It's pretty simple. Cause and effect is the relationship between two story events, where one, the cause, directly leads to the other, the effect. It's the why and how behind your plot points, the logic linking each moment to the next. Imagine your plot like a line of dominoes. Each event is a domino that tips forward, knocking into the next in a clear, connected sequence. That first domino is your story's inciting incident, the thing that sets everything in motion. And each domino after that is both an effect of what came before and a cause of what comes next. When you've got that strong, logical flow from one beat to another, your whole story stands up nice and sturdy. But if there are gaps or wonky bits in the chain, the whole thing can come tumbling down into a confusing mess. So, why is cause and effect so crucial for a juicy plot? For one thing, it's what makes your story feel cohesive and purposeful. When readers can follow the breadcrumb trail of logic from scene to scene, they'll never feel lost or yanked out of the narrative. Instead, they'll nod along, thinking, ah yes, of course that happened, because of this other thing from before. It's satisfying because it mirrors how we make sense of events in real life. We look for the reasons and repercussions behind every action. But cause and effect isn't just about making your plot comprehensible, it's also a major key for keeping those pages turning. When you establish clear causal relationships, readers start to anticipate what might happen next. They become active participants in the story, wondering, ooh, since the hero just found that mysterious locket, I bet it'll lead them to the villain's lair. And when those predictions pay off, or are subverted in a clever way, it creates a delicious sense of mental reward. Even cooler, a strong cause, an effect chain can make even the wildest plot twists feel inevitable in hindsight. Sure, the reader might gasp when your big reveal hits, but when they think back, they'll realize you planted all the seeds and set up the logic perfectly. It's like a magician's trick, surprising in the moment, but obvious once you know the secret. And that combination of shock and satisfaction is what makes for a truly memorable reading experience. But, of course, all of this only works if your causal relationships are actually believable and well-crafted. You can't just slap any old effects onto a cause and call it a day. Each link in the chain needs to feel logical and earned within the reality of your story world and characters. For example, let's say your mild-mannered accountant protagonist suddenly decides to quit their job and become a professional skydiver. If that comes out of absolutely nowhere, with no hint of a thrill-seeking streak or dissatisfaction with their current life, readers will call shenanigans. The cause and effect there is flimsy at best. But if you've established that they're secretly an adrenaline junkie, or that a recent loss has them questioning their safe, boring existence, the career swap will feel much more organic and justified. One handy trick for stress. Testing your story's cause and effect is to channel your inner toddler and just keep asking, why? Why did the hero make that choice? Why did that action lead to that consequence? Why did that twist happen at that specific moment? If you find yourself struggling to answer, or having to invent convoluted logic to get there, that's a clue you might need to go back and shore up your causal chain. You also want to make sure your story logic is balanced and proportional. Tiny causes shouldn't trigger earth-shattering effects, and vice versa. If your character misses their bus one morning, that's probably not enough reason for them to burn down their workplace in a fit of existential rage, unless you're writing a very dark comedy. The size of the effect should match the size of the cause, give or take a little dramatic license. Otherwise, your plot can strain believability. So how can you go about crafting strong, seamless cause and effect in your own stories? Here are a few concrete strategies. First, make sure you always have a firm grasp on your character's goals, motivations, and personalities. Every choice they make should flow believably from that internal bedrock. If a decision feels out of left field for who they are and what they want, you need to lay more groundwork first. Next, think of your plot like a game of billiards. Aim to set up situations that will naturally cause characters to clash, react, and ricochet off each other in interesting ways. The juiciest stories introduce events that force characters to make tough choices, and then follow the dominoes of consequences from those choices. It can also help to start with your endpoint and reverse engineer from there. Ask yourself what would need to happen to get to that final scene organically, then keep hopping back to figure out the preceding links in the causal chain. You might be surprised by the story logic you uncover this way. And lastly, try to always have one eye on setup and payoff. If you plant a seed early in the story, say a character's crippling fear of snakes, look for ways to have that seed sprout into plot-relevant vines later on. Maybe they have to face that fear to rescue their love interest from a serpent-filled temple. Brick by brick, build your tower of narrative logic so the final effect has a solid foundation. By the way, if you want to dive even deeper into the nuts and bolts of story structure and causality, I've got a whole course that really gets into the nitty-gritty of it all. You can find the link down in the description if you want to level up your skills even further and support the channel. But for now, to recap, cause and effect is the crucial why that links your plot points together in a satisfying chain of logic. By crafting clear, believable reasons behind every story event, you'll create a sense of cohesion, anticipation, and delicious inevitability for your readers. And by using strategies like motivation, mining, situation engineering, and reverse outlining, you can make sure your domino maze is a sturdy, compelling one. So now I want to hear from you. What books or movies have had a cause and effect chain that really wowed you? What do you struggle with most when it comes to story logic in your own writing? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to geek out about this with you. And if this video got you psyched to go build some narrative domino chains, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe for more writing wisdom every single week. Can't wait to read the tight, juicy plots you all come up with.